But then I'm like in my personal life,
Hmm.
take all the music aside and everything, it really affects my relationships and
Yeah, sure.
but a lot of my pain and a lot of the things I hold on to are also like things I use because I think they protect me. You know,
Hmm. Yeah, I
like
see.
what we were talking about earlier, the anger and like
Yeah,
embarrassment.
sure.
It's like it's way easier
Sure.
and feels less vulnerable to feel angry than it is
Yeah.
to feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that where it gets
Hmm.
confusing sometimes where it's like I'm not just going to stay in pain so I can have a career,
Hmm.
but that's something I actually struggle with
Okay, yeah, that's
on
what
a
I
day
wanted
to
to ask.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I am addicted to being sad, I think. I love sad music. I'm used to being depressed.
Hmm.
When I actually start to feel happy or joy, it's like a switch goes off in my brain or alarm or
Oh,
whatever
what's
you want to
this?
call it. Well, yeah, but it's almost like it shuts it down. Like
Okay.
it's almost like, hey, no, like
Oh,
you can't
okay.
feel this way or whatever. And so that's a weird experience for me too because sometimes I wish my brain wasn't like that or
Yeah.
whatever, you
But
know?
you're working on it and you
Yeah.
will manage it.
Yeah.
So, are you afraid that if you don't feel any pain anymore, I mean, we will always feel pain, but not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
much, that you can't write any music? Do you think you will ever release a happy song?
I think I will always write from an emotional place and I'll
Mm-hmm.
always be a deeply emotional person when it comes to
Yeah.
writing. But I do think at some point I'll have songs that are like they're still emotional, but they're more like lighthearted feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like Change is an example of that,
Yeah.
really. That song's not that the bridge is kind of depressing, the lyrics are, but the rest of the song, I don't know. The feeling I get from
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't feel as depressing to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Even
you're
The
right.
Search, when I listen to The Search,
Yeah.
it's dark sounding, but when I listen to it, I'm not like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
depressed.
No.
Like Hate Myself, that's depressing.
Yeah.
I mean, the title's depressing, but like the song is depressing.
Yeah.
And I guess, Change does have some depressing lyrics, but when I hear the beat, I don't feel depressed. I feel like
Yeah.
interested or like,
Yeah.
that's why I always write to beats because the beat kind of brings out
Your
what I'm
feelings.
feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Instead of like writing words and then trying to find a beat, it's more like I hear a beat and then I instantly can feel, not always, but a lot of times I can feel like an emotion of something like, oh, this could be a topic I could talk about, or I
Mm-hmm.
instantly am feeling this way when I hear this track.
Mm-hmm. So, but it happens that you struggle with some topics that the lyrics don't want to come out because they're too
Oh yeah,
personal. Or
well, maybe sometimes, but usually it's just like a writer's block moment where I'm not feeling
okay.
inspired, and I've spent hours before and it didn't even keep a line that I
Yeah.
wrote, and just like that was a weird thing with this record was normally it was like I never really had like a deadline
Okay.
for a record, and this one was like, hey,
Okay.
if we're gonna tour at this
Oh
time,
yeah,
we need to
sure,
be
sure.
done
Yeah,
with
yeah, sure.
this by this, and we need to do this, and so that was a lot of pressure because I was like, man, like some songs I'll finish in an hour and a half, and then some songs will take me weeks
Wow, that's impressive. I
to
mean, it's
write
20
them.
songs, and you started January, and you had to
Yeah,
be finished by July.
I can't
That's quick.
remember. We had a few songs for sure
Okay.
already started, probably like three or
Still
four.
from Perception or
No,
in
no,
between?
from just like before
Before.
January.
Okay.
But I
Hmm.
like officially think we started January and then spent like
Yeah,
a
that's
few
really
months.
quick.
It was a lot of writing. Yeah, one of my favorite songs on the record is Trauma,
Hmm.
and that was like a really quick one. But I'm also not rapping,
Yeah.
just singing.
Yeah, that's super
But
cool.
for a lot
I
of like
love that.
singing style songs, I do a lot of like freestyle like melodies on the
Hmm.
mic to come up. I'll do a bunch of gibberish melody stuff and then
Yeah.
I'll write actual words to the melodies and stuff like that. So I love that recording
Yeah.
process.
What was the hardest song to write?
I don't know if it was the hardest to
Hmm.
write, but
The
I
Honest.
liked writing Nate.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that you bring
Um,
them up. It's so relatable, really, to everyone. I love that.
yeah, the place I went for therapy, you had to do this thing, which just sounds really weird, but it was actually like
Yeah, yeah.
therapeutic. That basically you were in a room, there's like two chairs, and you
Hmm.
like talked to the younger you
Yeah.
basically, and then you would switch chairs
Hmm.
and pretend you were younger you and talk to
Yeah.
older you. And so that was like a
Wow.
very interesting, weird
Wow.
thing at the time. But yeah, when I went to write this song, I kept being like, what if I wrote a song to younger me?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's kind of a depressing song and dark sounding, but it's also a lot of like realizations that I've had over the past couple years
Yeah.
about like, hey, you're gonna think this, and you
Yeah.
know what I mean. If we could
Yeah.
go back and tell our
Yeah.
younger selves all these things, there's
That
so
would
many
be
we would say.
so good.
Yeah,
I really wish I could do that.
it's a struggle though, because all those things that I've went through in my life got me to this place.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So there's a line in there where I say that, you know, those things in life can also build your character. And so that's where I'm always
Yeah.
torn all the time, where I'm always
Yeah.
like, man, because I'm such a such a perfectionist,
Yeah.
it actually helps me work harder.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's a gray area
Yeah.
and there's a line, and I'm always on the other side
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
line
yeah.
of being a perfectionist. So I
Yeah.
think that's the struggle sometimes. It's like,
Find
why?
the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But that gives me goosebumps. It's really, really amazing. As you already said, it's like we're always learning about ourselves. Now you're in therapy, you're learning even more, you learn to handle your feelings. How exhausting is it?
It is exhausting,
Super exhausting.
just because sometimes I think I know what I'm doing, and I feel like I still can't control my emotions sometimes. And so then it gets really exhausting, because when you become self-aware about something, but you feel like you still react, and then you feel bad about it later, and then I'll just guilt myself later about how I handled something or how I am or who I
Yeah.
am. And so it is exhausting, but I'm trying to figure out how in the moment
Okay.
to think about it, not later. Because
Yeah.
that's what I do. It's like you
Yeah,
say something that
I can't really.
makes me feel a certain
Yeah.
way, I react, then later I think about
Yeah,
how I
yeah.
reacted and why I reacted and how I can react better. But I struggled
And then
in
you're
the moment.
trapped in the circle.
Yeah, yeah.
Like always going over
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. I can tell.
And so, especially with touring, that's how it goes. You know, when you get on the road, I have too much time to think a lot of times. So now I'm trying to bring out like one of my friends that's a producer, and like so I can work and be doing things on the road as well. So
Cool. How do you know what to change about yourself and what to accept and embrace and just say, that's me? Have you gotten to that point?
no, probably still in the process of that. I'm definitely still in the process of that, because it was like I was just saying, like the perfectionist thing. I see so many things have a negative impact on me mentally, but they also help me achieve my goals. And so it's very hard for me to figure
Yeah.
out, like, if I get rid of this, am I going to be as driven of a
Yeah.
person?
Yeah.
But then it's also weird, because it's like, yeah, but if you're a driven person and you're succeeding, you know, to all these
Yeah.
people, you're successful, but you don't even feel happy. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And so that's where I get trapped a lot of times, and like ruminating and my brain just spinning around, because I'm just like, well, I don't want to lose this, because if I lose this, then I'll lose this. But then if I get healthier mentally, will I be able to write as well? So maybe I shouldn't get healthier mentally. And then I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I see.
You know what I mean? It's just like a never-ending cycle, it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, I see. So let's talk about the tour, NF, the Search Tour. You will be back in Berlin the 2nd of March, 2020. You will be
Yes.
playing a concert here. As you already told us, you don't really like being on tour. You've got anxiety about it. What I find really impressive is how do you still manage to do that? Like every night, every day, first the interviews, then going on stage.
The first tour for Perception was like terrible for me.
Okay.
Like not show-wise.
Yeah.
The fans were amazing. The tour sold out. It was just like I was barely getting by. I was coming off stage, like losing it in my green room, like just like. So I'm just trying to figure out. I think doing therapy now will help me get through it. This tour, I'm gonna make sure I'm doing like phone calls and stuff, just because I need to. I vent in my music all the time, but I don't usually have that deep of conversations with very many people in my life. I don't have a friend where I'm like, hey man, this happened
Okay, I
today,
see.
you know? And so like my music's always kind of been that. But having a therapist definitely helps,
Yeah.
and someone who like understands OCD and like can help me talk through situations that I'm experiencing or whatever.
So why did you still choose to be a famous person?
Here's the thing. I didn't, when I said I wanted to be an artist or like a rapper or whatever, I don't think anyone really understands what that even means. like I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
I didn't know how radio worked. I
Yeah.
didn't know how touring worked.
Yeah.
You have this idea in your mind, like, I'm going
Okay.
to tour the world. I'm going to do shows. I'm going to do, you know?
Yeah.
And it sounds cool. Like, the average person would be like,
Wow.
I would love to do
Yeah.
that. And then you get in it, and it's just way different than what you
Yeah.
thought. And you feel thankful. At least I
Sure.
feel thankful. Very thankful.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do have moments where I'm just so depressed and so sad that it's like, to some people, it just looks like complaining, but those people don't understand
Yeah.
because they don't do it.
Yeah.
And so it is a confusing thing because you're thankful and you don't want to come across like
Yeah.
that certain way. I mean, I'm sure at some point when I was younger, but now it's like the famous thing to me. If people don't recognize me, I'd love that people recognize my work.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't care if I don't need them to recognize me, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great sometimes and feels good where people are like, oh, I know you, I know your music. It means a lot. Like, that's awesome. But the whole fame thing and all of that, I think people don't know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
At least for me. I didn't
Yeah.
know what I was getting into. I didn't
can
understand
imagine that.
anything
Yeah.
about it. Now I'm in it.
Same here.
And I still question it sometimes where I'm like, I don't know. I want to make music and
Yeah.
I appreciate my fans so much, but it is a very complicated thing that's not as simple as like, oh, be thankful that you make a lot of money and that
Yeah.
people want to come to your
Yeah.
shows. It's like way deeper than that.
Yeah.
And I feel like people that kind of bash on people about that are just people that don't understand what it's like because they
Yeah.
don't do it for a living.
Yeah.
So,
Are you afraid of going on tour?
yes, I do not like touring, but I'm also excited at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I say I don't like touring, I don't like feeling anxious every day.
Yeah.
But I do like seeing fans
Mm-hmm.
and like putting on a live show for them. And I do have moments on stage where it's like,
Okay.
whoa, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like here, I think the show for here already sold out. It's in
Yeah.
Germany,
Yeah.
but I think it's like 4,000 people. And I'm just like, that's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah,
So that'll be
it
a cool,
is true.
really cool experience, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, when I say I hate touring, it's more like I hate the anxiety that I
things
get
around-
from
yeah, yeah.
touring.
Does the anxiety stop as soon as you get on stage?
No, that's the
Okay.
frustrating thing for
Okay.
me that I'm trying to figure out. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it dies down. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the entire time I'm up there, my brain is like spinning and
Wow.
I'm not even thinking about like,
Wow.
I'm not even there. Like my brain is
Okay.
like on autopilot, but like thinking about things.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
thinking about messing up, thinking about what does this even look like, or what am I doing, or you know,
Yeah.
it's something that's hard to describe unless it'd be like you having a conversation with someone, but you're not even like
Yeah.
registering
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're saying
totally,
because
totally.
you're just saying the same
On
thing over.
autopilot.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
but an autopilot where you feel like trapped
Yeah.
in your thoughts or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gives me goosebumps as well. I mean, it's amazing how you manage it all. Really,
Yeah.
really amazing. And I love your fan base. They've got, I checked your Instagram and they've got some really cute stuff going on the concerts and they've got some surprises
Yeah,
and
they're
everything.
awesome.
And that will help you.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this really, really cool interview. I enjoyed
Thank
it really
you.
much. You will achieve everything you want and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.